The BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Championships continues here in Igls in Austria, just outside the Olympic city of Innsbruck. First heat has seen a very tight race. The second, we will see perhaps some of our major players establish themselves at the top of the pile. Martin Haven and John Morgan watching the action with you trackside. And John, what a tight battle we've got on our hands on this Olympic track.
Well, it's all about start times, and this start monster, Hefty and Baumann, they won last week at Samoritz. They've got the great start, third best start in the first run. Little variance there at the top of the track. They went late. They didn't have good ice to work with. I expect Hefty, with that good start again, to even have a chance to move up here in the second run. Francisco Friedrich and Margus, boy, were they 8th best start last year. They had some of the best starts all over every track on the planet, but Friedrich is hurt. He's nursing a groin pull. He's got himself in a position not too far out, 1400s back, and you got Lochner here. He started 16th and had the best start in the competition, but on the bottom part of the track, lost a little time back. That's relative to the track itself. I think he had the best time in the first run, considering where he came from. Well, Oscar Melbardis and Damas Drieskins, wow, they're the leaders. It's surprising they haven't done that this year because they've been wounded, both of them. They have the best start in the competition normally, but they're about 80%. But they started second, took advantage of it, posted the best time, and it's pretty close, these top four guys.
Yeah, 300 separate the top two, a tie for third, and look all the way down to Chris Spring, Rico Pater at the bottom of that first page. Rico Pater only 1200s out of that tie for the bronze medal, so everything is still possible, and track condition will deteriorate as the sled start. Now, the second heat, we go 20 down to 1, and then 21 to the rest of the field. So our leaders will not have good ice conditions compared to those that are trying to close the gap from behind, like Stephen Holcomb, who will be the second sled on the ice. He's 19th after heat 1, and he could well push himself up the order. Rico Pater inside the top 10. Francesco Friedrich there. How long will that groin tear hold up? Well, he is well taped up, but the Germans, and even he himself, has no idea how fit he's going to remain. Oscar's keeper Manis of Latvia, 20th after the first heat, will kick us off. Then Bradley Hall, the youngster from Great Britain, who lies in 18th position. He'll go off third. The other British slider is in 10th position after the first heat. Bruce Tasker and Joel Fearon. They will be halfway through that top 10 running order. And then we get down to the serious business. Yun Jung-won, Bert Hefty, Francesco Friedrich, and our top two, Johannes Lochner and leader Oscars Melbardis. Then from 21 on down, we believe we have lost the Italian sled of Simone Bertazzo. He's on the start list, but we think he pulled up injured after that first heat and may not continue in the competition. Of course, next week will be four-man week as well. So, getting the second of our four heats underway, Oscars Melbardis of Latvia, third fastest starter, 20th at the bottom of the track. Is he coming unraveled, or can he not handle his new sled?
No, his whole season he's been like this. He's been very perplexing for the coaching staff that an athlete with this much talent, third year, they've had him on tour as a young 20-year-old. He came out, everybody said this is the future of Latvian sliding, and he just, with the second, third best start time for him to be down here in 20th, that is reflects his whole season, Martin. But last week he finished second best time of the final heat, four-man finish in the top 6. We saw a smile out of his face, but here, he was just lost.
Seems to be having trouble getting his head around Ugi Salims, who used to be the third Latvian driver and now has really overhauled him this season. Coaches say he just can't do it.
I can't buy that. You know, if he's down in 9th or 10th place, I could buy it, but to be way back in 20th place with that start, 52.00, that's 900s faster than his first heat.
Yeah.
Sanders Prusis on the left, his long time break from Giannis on the right. They look on to their protege that
start was a couple of hundreds better, the drive 900s better, so that sort of translates from the start, really. So good
bib number 13, but still, with this, I mean, he's 2 decathletes in the sled. awesome. Look at the angle of him jumping in there. I mean, he is one of the best athletes in the field, and when he figures out how to drive or not drive, maybe he's just steering too much. Look at the big meat hooks come in from this guy. Down here in the bottom, and this is where, you know, he just could be steering too much.
Yeah, looks like he got a little late in there and here as well. This track can catch you out very easily, same as any ice track. Stephen Holcomb in the USA, Carlo Valdez. Holcomb racing injured pretty much all season long. He sat in a couple of races in the North American swing, said, I'll sit in all the way to the World Champs if I have to try and survive 2 weeks of intense punishment here.
Carlo Valdez, the javelin thrower from UCLA in the back. You know, the 27th best start time in the first run. 28th best start time. And he gets a 28 again. Oh, that's just, on this track, it's just like coming down the track with a parachute. It doesn't matter if he drives the perfect line now. It's just so far back because of the start.
It's tough to say, isn't it, that a man who won 2-man and 4-man World Championship medals in Lake Placid just a few years ago may not make the cut.
Well, he's 33 to 22. He could get this down to single digits. I mean, he's a master. Silver medal last week in the World Championships in St. Moritz on a 1,700-meter track. This is a 1,200-meter track. He's bringing it back, but
he's going to give everything.
He does come back.
Wow. 51.97, 600ths of a second faster than his first heat.
33 hundredths down and cries him.
Yeah.
So, is Holcomb that good a driver? Yes. Is Kibermanis that bad of a driver? Yes. You won't see any other sled recover 33 hundredths on the bottom. But how are the lines there?
Looks good.
Gets over on 10. Look at the heads here. Let's watch the back end of the sled as he goes into 13. Looks pretty good to us. You know, you give him another 300 meters.
Yep.
But the track's only 1,220 meters. It's a short one.
There's Carlo Valdez behind him, and he is the motive power here. Next up, Bradley Hall and Ben Semtek-Simons from Great Britain. Bradley Hall looking quite relaxed this morning. His first World Championships as a driver. And as a result, 18th place off the 12th fastest start. Now they'll hopefully have got the nerves out of the way, like a lot of first-time drivers here this week.
5:14 in the first run. Well, you got a sprinter in the back, you got a decathlete in the front.
20-second start draw, so they didn't get great fresh ice for the first heat. Another 5:14 getaway. That was 12th quickest in the first heat. The fastest was a 0.2.
Let's keep track of that 66.4 speed.
It's good second corner speed. 2400s up on Stephen Holcomb. The gap will come down further down the track, perhaps, though.
Well, Bradley Hall doesn't have the experience. Holcomb's got the best, some of the best eyes and hands in the field, but the start time nemesis, 22 down to what now?
Little tap away from 9 into 10, gives him height in 10 if he controls it well here.
Holcomb's going to get him.
He was only 100th in front of Holcomb, world and Olympic champion after the first heat, and he's a 10th behind, so Holcomb moves up a spot.
600 slower, Holcomb but a 10th faster. But this is Bradley Hall's first World Championships. Holcomb's first World Championships was about 2004, 2003, I think, in Lake Placid. So that's a few years ago.
So nice good start from these two, 5:14 in both heats.
Look how quickly he got in. We see some athletes like Kibermanis rocketed, his feet were way up in the air. Bradley Hall chose the real lesser route to get into the sled. Ben Simons, look at him look up, trying to get his arms in. Not real smooth
where that first
back
corner
there.
was, wasn't he?
That wasn't really perfectly smooth, that entry, but
They lie in third place now with 3 sleds down. Next up, Alexei Stulnev of Russia. 17th place after the first heat. Don't forget, unlike World Cup races, we don't cut the field to 20 in the World Championships after the first heat, but after the third.
Well, Stulnev's got that start blues problem, too. He's 24th best start. 23rd best start with a 24. Yeah, he improves quite a bit. Good exit, 2 to 3. Good driver.
900s up on Stephen Holcomb is not going to be enough, is it?
Not there. He should have had it better. He had a 700s better start than Holcomb. That should have transferred. He should be up 2000s here.
Well, Holcomb was only 200s back from the first heat. All these sleds at the bottom of the 20 are very close, only separated by 100th or so.
But down to 13.
Yeah.
It's down to single digits here. Holcomb can get him on the bottom. His next clock coming up.
Speed is not as high as the American sled had. Down to 8. He's going to be behind at the line.
He's going to be ahead 300s. 6.
Okay, 51.93. Still slower than Holcomb's slide, so Holcomb is closing the gap a little.
Yeah, they were pretty close. Holcomb was only 200s behind. Now he's 600s behind, so...
Well, the next sled's 100th, 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 tied, 200s. I mean, the gaps are tiny. And don't forget, sleds outside the 20 now can also force their way up the order.
Feet, you don't want to get the feet too far above the ice. Low turnover and drive. Look at the size of the brakeman. Maximum illusion. Boy,
yeah.
Boy.
Well, that going away camera makes everybody look like they've got giraffe legs. Latvian flag now for our second Latvian sled. Uga Zalims lies third in the two-man World Cup standings, but consistency rather than medals have got him there. He has had 1 medal this season, a silver in the second two-man race in the double two-man weekend at Whistler.
Large brakeman, Dombas, who might be the veteran of the field. He's been around since around 2002.
Somewhere between him and Kevin Kuska, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, Kuska and him, yeah, you're right. And they're both about the same size. Good athletes, good starts.
5'10", great getaway.
Great getaway there. Side of the straightaway. Oh, the other side. His left, our right.
Eases you into turn 3, roughly where you need to be. 1500s up on Alexei Stulnev. The gap was 100th after the first heat.
That should get out to 20. Oh, down to 12. If I'm Stulnev, if I'm Holcomb at the bottom, I'm liking that. He lost a lot of time already. Down to 7. He's going to fall behind.
9 to 10. Just about gets it back on track for 10 without too much drama.
Down to 1. So, red numbers here. Stulnev will catch him. Question is, will Holcomb get him?
118, 119, not enough. 200s back. He's between Stulnev on the left and Holcomb.
Yeah, his time eraser was seen to be up top. All of a sudden, his second best start of 5:10. He should have blown Holcomb and Stulnev away because he had beat him by 1400s at the start, and he did. So that watch Dombas get in. Look how high the Zalmas gets in and gets down. Now watch the brakeman. First of all, look at the size of him. One hand. Watch the big meat hooks come up, down. Look at the size of the hands on him. Down here, though, he's above the ice marks there. It looks
little late
good,
height,
yeah.
has to pull it down.
And took a lot of the curve there.
Yep.
Lost a lot of time, boy. Into Kreisel and all the way down.
Looks just as pensive after the first heat. After the second, Uga Zalims. He's 200s behind Alexei Stulnev, the leader, with 31 sleds to go. One of the big stories in the first heat was Monaco's 22-year-old duo, Rudy Rinaldi and his brakeman Boris Van. They lie 15th.
Bruno Manjon, Max Roberto, they get in again with a little difficulty. Decent start, but got in out of the drive lines and had a little alteration of the sled. All of that energy, can't go side to side. He's got to go forward. 67.3 is excellent, excellent speed at a curve 3.
200s up on Stulnev from the first heat. The gap is 9, now down to 8 as he gets to the Kreisel.
Skid there to 8, down 5. Needs the perfect line. It's not perfect.
A little skid in the first heat as well.
He's going to fall back. Question is, one spot. Oh, he's going to fall back maybe 3 spots.
At the moment, he's out of the tail of the field. He's going to drop 6 at the line. 6th position.
15 plus
drops
20.
right down to the bottom of our top 6.
So the first 2, 3, 4,
there.
first 6 sleds down are separated by 20 hundredths. Boy, it's tight.
Well, he came down 51.99. That was a 52.15. 16 hundredths of a second
Slow.
worse. That's
Well,
not all track condition.
Start. Watch him get in. Watch the sled go to the left here a little bit. Look at the way he uses his hand on the cowling. That's different. Usually everybody uses both hands on the push bar. Watch the sled come left. See it now.
Yeah, you saw the push bar drop in. That means he's got at least one hand that's not on the D-rings, and the other hand was still coming into the cowl.
Yeah. Here, a little late out of 9.
Well, he started 300 slower than Intars Dambis, who just came down in front of him, finished 1800 slower, and there's your rule of 3. Next up, Nick Cunningham. High to Alexis Wickline. I have no idea what, oh goodness, it's early hour of the day it is in South Carolina. Watching Holiday Hams, her husband Casey, on the back of this US sled.
Cunningham was quick at practice all week. 5:24 start in the first run, though, wasn't what we expected out of him. 5:25, and I don't know what's wrong there. Both these athletes had a much better. They were great in practice, but you got to bring it to the race. 67.5 is pretty good. Casey, one of the number of firemen in the field.
400s back. He's closing the gap to Alexei Stulnev. He was only 300s quicker.
4. Now it's going to be perfect here. Nope, that's not perfect.
400s, 100s.
Got a chance. Boy, the sled was, he's flying.
Dip for the line, isn't he, to take the lead? 200s back. 51.98.
So that puts him still 400s ahead of his teammate, Steve Holcomb.
Yep, tied with Uga Zalims, 200s of a second behind Stulnev. Holcomb 600s behind Stulnev at the moment as Stulnev starts to climb up the order.
So Holcomb beat Cunningham, his teammate, by 100th, but the start times are just. There's a mistake up at 9. There's the same shot, different angle. That's not how to do it. That was worth 500s. The always smiling Nick Cunningham from Boise State.
Tied 13th after the first heat with Nick Cunningham was Germany's Max Arndt, the 4-man world champion, with the veteran Kevin Kuska behind him. Kuska's one of those people who, when he walks through a crowded start area, there's just this sort of wave of people moving out of the way of the beast as he comes through.
Arndt, the world champion from 4-man bob last year. And in 2013, and he uses the 2-man as a warm-up for the 4-man because he gives up start.
Well, 5:15 is not a bad start from these two.
No, not at all. He had the 16th best start in the first heat of 5:17. That's about normal. But he you know, that's close.
He's coming down to Stulnev, 1600s out, down to 1500s, down to 1100s.
Gotta believe this for Arndt. This is a lot of time to give up. Ball real high there at 10.
Again, Arndt only beaten by 300s in the first heat. Stulnev second
another
run
one.
was a good
This
one.
is close. Either way. There it is, 300s.
Well, Stolnev made the best of the ice, didn't he? What involves the Delicate, the Swiss, the Austrian
After
driver?
the first 3 sleds that go down, the track speed just goes away. And these sleds are so tight. We had 8 sleds separated by like 900s, right?
Exactly.
So this is what we're seeing. So Stolnev went down first of that group, and he's hung in there. Look at the guy in the back. Look how quickly he stands up. Yep. The sled doesn't come off the ice. You want to know how to do it? Look at him lunge.
Look at him.
240-pound gazelle. The lines, Max, aren't, looks like a Holcomb line as he got over in that wall. Real high there in 10, though. Look at the size of Kuska. And he's got 3 gold medals, 1 silver in the Olympics alone. Probably has 7 world championship titles with the old Andre Lange, the veteran German, retired now.
Lots of German fans in the grandstands here. Next up is Alexander Kasyanov. He was 600ths quicker than current leader Alexei Stolnev from the first heat. This group of 8 sleds that cover by 1/10 of a second.
So he had the 28th best start time. Holcomb had the 27th best start time. Both of these guys won medals in 2-man. Holcomb won a gold and a silver last week, gold in Lake Placid. Casanova had the gold medal in his hand in Whistler, lost it by 100.
Yep. Behind a joint win. Yeah. It was bronze on day 1, bronze on day 2.
But to see them so far back is because of the start importance on this track, which is 65%, people say, is the importance of the start of this track as compared to 50% last weekend in St. Moritz.
He was the 29th starter in a field of 34.
He better hustle here on the bottom. He's 10th behind.
He's going down. Currently, this is the slowest run of the second heat.
8th best time of the run. He falls behind Holcomb.
Rescued that.
I'd like to see the expression of Pierre Luder's face right now.
52.09. And Stolnev came down 51.93. It's only 0.12 of a second, but that's a lifetime in this close pack.
I tell you, the start, these guys, everybody without a start is so exposed here. You have no chance. The bright sun in and out of the part of the track that you have to be careful on. 10, 11, 12. This is the 3-quarter combination 11. The first part of it 11, then 12, then 13, and then the finish 14.
There is Alexander Kasyanov.
Not happy.
No, like Holcomb, needs more ice for the 2-man.
Yeah, another 200 meters, he'd have a chance.
Swiss sled loaned to Austria's Benny Meyer by Billy Meyerhans, who'll be racing for Switzerland in the 4-man competition. With Marcus Sammer behind him, has electrified the performance of this Austrian duo.
Boise improved his starts. 5:13 in the first run. They could go 5:10, 5:11 here. 12.
But he avoids a little problem that they had in the first start. Remember, he was skidding into the first turn.
Silver medal last week at the World Cup European Championships. St. Moritz is the Austrians' first in 17 years. The media, the front page of the paper, we arrived in Innsbruck on Monday, and he said the last time his picture was in the paper for how bad the Austrian bobsled team was. He felt very vindicated.
His grandmother woke him up in bed in St. Moritz on the phone saying, "Have you got the paper?"
Look at these lines, too. He's the first guy that's going to hold his position. Stolne's just knocked out 5 guys.
Don't forget, he was only 700ths in front of Stolnev.
Really late there. He doesn't have a lot of familiarity with this sled. Probably has 10 trips in it. But 51.85, that's his father to the left. He's going to move up. I think that's a good time. 800's better.
That would have been,
I think he's going to move up.
That would have been pretty much a top 10 time in the first heat. He was 11th.
His start bib number was the Nemesis, 25th down. I think he's going to move up a couple sleds here. I think that was a good run. His first run was a good run. He just has the bad ice. Now, this isn't a very big guy, Benny Meyer, but he's very surprisingly quick. when they tested all of the Austrian athletes, including Sommer, the brakeman, everybody, Benny Maurer was the best pusher that they had. I give it, how old is he? 21. Look how late he is there, airborne. And look, a crossover on an angle into 14 or 13.
Yeah, real bump
Sled
there.
got away from him there.
Yeah, just a little behind the 8-ball. But Benny Maurer leads for Austria. 10 down, 24 more sleds still to come. Down to 11 have gone. Top 10 first heat for Bruce Tasker and Joel Fearon. Can the British pair hold on?
Well, these guys got a chance if they get into the single digits here. They should. Oh, that's what we expect out of these two. The first run of 5:10. Daddy at 5:06 here. And, you know, they started late, too.
They had a 10th up on Benny Maurer from the first heat.
That should be 20 now. There's 22. That's normal. But Maurer knows the track. Bruce, first World Championships. This is a great hope for the British program, this guy here. I'm sure some bookmaker got some long odds on him for this Pyeongchang Olympic Games 2 years from now, but I think this guy has got everything that you need to succeed.
Nice lines, and he's holding a near quarter-second advantage over Benny Maurer. This will cement him in the top 10.
Wow, this is a fast run.
Great run.
51.66.
Well, hang on a minute. That would have been 4th place.
Wow, Bruce Tasker. He started 23rd.
That would have left him 3rd in the first heat, and that's what a deficit the starting draw was.
I think both of those guys, Tasker and Maurer, have a chance to move up. They were destined into that 3rd round, 25th and 23rd. The start to 5:06. These are some athletes right here.
Yep. Outstarted Hefty.
Look
who
how
did
high you can look at the
5:09.
acceleration point of him getting in that sled. Watch the arms come up. Boy, Joel Fearon was in quickly.
Vanished.
Look at Tasker's long arms. He's 6'3".
Yeah.
This guy, 2 years out.
What a great run.
2 years out right there. Take a look at him.
Yep. So, Rico Peter of Switzerland, the first target. Bruce Tasker, the current leader, was only 300 slower, but started 700 quicker than the Swiss driver.
Yeah, watch out here if the Swiss don't get off here at a 5:14 or so. They're going to have a lot to overcome on the bottom, and Peter was not smooth. He's never smooth.
We're going to have a conversation one day when he picks us up on that.
So 17 in the first run. People were improving. So they got to get to a 13 or a 14. 16.
That's a 10th back then at the start alone for Bruce Tasker.
So then the next clock is going to be 20 hundredths, 18 or 20 hundredths behind. 67 speed's good. So there's 17. That's not too bad. So if he keeps this at 17 or 18, he can catch him on the bottom with his fast, insidious sled and his hit everything in sight driving style.
Tasker has produced the 3rd fastest run of the competition so far.
Now 17 is a lot to overcome. We saw Holcomb overcome 33 hundredths. And Peter, he's won a gold medal already this year. No, he's not. He's going to fall back a number of places.
2nd at the moment. Can he pull it out in the final corner? He can't.
No, he falls back 1. But he's ahead of Benny Maurer by 10. But Benny Maurer's closed the gap on him. 39 hundredths, 13 hundredths. Now he's only 10. So Benny Maurer picked up 3 hundredths on him.
Well, Bruce Tasker and Joel Fearon, you saw, may be in the leader's box a while.
Well, with that start time,
the Swiss body language, look at that.
Well, start. Rico, look at both hands on the push bar. Some people have been reaching over. Now look at the way you get in gingerly. Not everybody gets in the same.
Yeah.
Not everybody walks the same. Not that's pretty evident. Beautiful pictures from our team. Look at this line, left to right, you know, touching.
And skids into 10.
Yeah, he was 17 down, then 19 down, and that was probably it right there.
Fastest 8 sleds in the competition. Next up, 2 Canadians, Chris Spring and Lascelles Brown. The first on the ice, they were 200 behind their teammates. And they are 22 hundredths off the lead but only 800ths out of a medal position. This is unbelievably close.
Let's watch Lascelles Brown's hands here if we could. He's having problems with the transition right here. And watch his Adidas hand. Watch his hands here.
The feet, he said he was going to have to start like a sprinter with one leg behind.
See, he should get a 9, 08, 09. They had 11 in the first run. 10. Expected better. And he started, you know, 11th in the field. Didn't have the great ice to work with.
And this week, Lascelles has been training himself a totally new way of starting the bobsled, just to get into OB1.
Okay, 600s down. If he gets to 10 or 1200s down the next clock, that's not a good sign for them. 5. He stopped the bleeding. Here he comes. He should be green numbers with good lines. That's good there. Down to 5. Needs to be perfect here. Runners right at us. Now
down right to the 100th of a second.
2. Here he comes. He should be green numbers here at the bottom.
Going to be very close.
Won a gold medal in Whistler a couple weeks ago. For good driving, and here's
right in front.
So the Canadians like that.
Yeah.
Olaf Hampel on the left. He's helping coach the Canadians. He's a former world champion breaker with Christoph Lagen in the 90s 3 different times.
51.71 slide for spring. 500's better than his first start.
Look at Lascelles Brown. All he wants to know is what was the start time.
He said, what? 5:10.
Good drive, Springer. Look at the hands here from this 42-year-old Jamaican who they say is the best talent in the field at 42 years young. Look at his feet, low, drive. Look at the core of that dude.
That's it, real smooth. That one.
Do you know what?
Real nice. I like it.
How much heart?
Got a lot of action to come here.
Justin Cripps, Alexander Kopacs for Canada. And they were only 200ths in front of their teammates. I mean, that is nothing to play with.
They tied him at the start 11, so they got to go tie him now. 5:10. They could be better. Alex Kopacs, to me, is really, really coming on as a world-class brakeman. So, all things being equal, 5:10 or better.
Kopacs made his debut last year, and look at the way he gets in. For
5'11".
For somebody who's 6'4", he gets in like he's 5'4".
Very talented athlete. Cripps, the international man of mystery. We say that because he's got 3 passports. 400s down. He's got to stop the bleeding pretty quick, like his teammate Chris Spring did. Cripps, one practice almost every day this week, but he's 800s down. That's going to be tough to overcome.
He was only 600 out of the medals, but it's going away.
Skid 2, 8 to 9.
This is going to be an unbelievably close race all the way through to the finish. And it's Cripps just making the one error that's going to cost him.
Falling 3 places here. A little rough on top.
This may take him right out of medal contention. 6th fastest run, 0.3 of a second slower on that run than Bruce Tasker of Great Britain, who still lies second with the fastest 6 to go. Cripps will be in the top 10 in the first heat, after the first day rather, but I think that's ruled him out of medals.
Exeter Kreisel, watch this skid. The back end, I'll guarantee you going into the 8, the back end of the sled is going away from him. Yeah, there it is, look at that. See, tap going in. Didn't have a good Exeter Kreisel, tried to get on 8 early, and when you hit going in like that, you erase all your speed. That's why he was 18, 1900s off at that point.
Fastest 6 sleds next up, and Nico Malta, who lies second in the World Cup rankings for 2-man with 3 medal finishes and no wins this season. And this is an acknowledged 4-man exponent. Christian Poser behind him.
Another fireman. I said he's going to drop like a stone here because he went first. He had the best ice to work with, had a 13th start in the first run. Going to need at least that. 15. He had the best ice to work with, was only in 5th place at the end of the first 6th place in the first run. He comes from luge, been down this track probably way more in a luge sled than a bobsled. But, I mean, he's second World Cup points.
Just 200ths off the lead of Chris Spring.
6, that's not bad. Considering that start deficiency, that's pretty good.
He had 500s from the first heat advantage over Chris Spring. Now 900s
Still bleeding.
out.
He's got to stop the bleeding. He's going to drop 4 or 5 places here.
This leaves him third on split times at the moment. There's only 200s between leader Spring and
I said he was going to drop like a stone.
Fourth place behind Rico Pater. Could be behind the Canadians.
12th best time of the run.
The time is gone from the
Unbelievable.
track.
Look at the coach, Christoph Lochner, who has won 5 world championships himself in 2-man bobsled. Nico Walter.
Well, the speed in the ice has gone.
Can't believe it.
Dropped to 5th with 5 to go. Will be in the top 10. Benny Meyer won't.
Start. Everybody else equaling their time. The last 4 or 5 sleds are getting better. And these two, look at the sled, still lifting up and down. Little bad technique there from the two of them. Down here on the bottom, though.
Christian Poser's wife, Jamie Grubel-Poser, will be going for medals in the women's competition later on today. She lies 4th overnight for the USA. There's Christian shaking his head.
Very perplexing.
Chris Spring, Bruce Tasker, Rico Pater, the top 3 with our fastest 5 still to come. Yoon Jung-won of Korea with Youngwoo Seo won their first ever 2-man race in Whistler the first day, tied with Rico Pater on a slew of medals. He's our points leader.
Made a problem at the start here. The sled drifted to the right. Let's see if they correct it in this heat. They probably get in 1 step earlier. Perfect. Start time, 5:09. Awesome. They really improved there. This is where Juan has to make a run at it right now. He needs to hit a home run here to put himself in medal contention, and he could. He is the World Cup leader.
1,500 out of gold from the first heat, 100th out of the medals.
It should be 12, 1,500 up here. Oh, only 6. With that start, he should have been better.
He was 800 up as he sat down.
Down to 5. But this is where the Eagles track, the personality of this track is about. Races to the 100th of a second.
Squirming from 9 to 10. He was 700 up in Spring from the first heat. He's got nothing left.
Now, how many places is he going to fall? Maybe only 1 spot.
Maybe 2. Third. So there's 200s between the top 2. There's now 400s given across the top 3.
And Bruce Tasker, look at him. He's up into the top 6, right?
Yeah, he's in Chris Spring's slipstream.
Bruce
he's in second
Tasker.
with 4 to go.
Most impressive performance I've seen so far.
Yep.
Juan had some slippery lines. Ooh, look at the way the brakeman hopped.
He was
both
bouncing
feet.
up and
you
down
see that?
there.
Both feet.
So
that
eager to get on with this.
Well, but it was his technique. Here's the mistake. Look at this. He's got a little skid going from 9 to 10. That's where he had green numbers, went to red, but Juan, what a fantastic season, what you have done for the sport, launching it in Asia.
Yep.
Right here, what he has done. He's the World Cup leader, most likely to win the World Cup. Wow.
Wow, what a feat that is going to be. Well, next up we have 4 sleds in the top 3. And among them, no surprises. First up, Switzerland's Bert Hefti and Alex Baumann. The only surprise in their first run was that they were 3rd fastest starters, not fastest starters. Will they turn that around here?
Okay, got to be single digits for these boys. They should be 7.
How does Hefti get so fast?
And he's got a much equaler ice to deal with than he had the first run when he had to start way back in the 15th position.
Well, he was 15th on the ice in the first. He's actually the 17th sled. The second he's
yeah, but all the people he's racing against, they're all together.
Very true. 2,100 up.
Ooh, I heard a tap there before Kreisel.
Spring was only 800s behind him in the first heat.
20 to 20, that means he's going to lose some time back. That tap before Kreisel cost him. Good lines there.
This could be Hefti putting himself firmly in the medals.
He'll be the leader by about 12. That tap up above Kreisel was his nemesis, 13. 51. Okay, Springer moved up 3-4 places. They like it. Hefty's in medal position. You know, his nemesis in the first heat was he started so late because of his World Cup positioning. And then he had to get by the first heat, and the rest of the way, he's going to be sliding in the same time period as the other top sliders.
5:06 start for 51.66. Bruce Tasker, 5:06 start for 51.66. They are the two fastest sleds in this second heat.
Okay, this is the biggest driver in the field, weight-wise. Look at his athleticism. Both hands on the push bar. And now in and down, and Alex Bowman, watch his arms come up.
Watch the way Hefty drops in.
Hefty got in a little late.
Oh, just missed it.
Hefty got in a little late.
He got his foot
Here's the
hooked up on
tap.
the seat.
Here's the tap over on the right side. Bang, right below our camera, but we heard it. And then he had some issues. The rest of the run was good. That little tap 8 cost him at least a 10.
Top 3 sleds still to come. Next up is Germany's Francesco Friedrich and Torsten Margus.
Well, this guy's wounded, the world champion the last 2 times out. 5:06, he's not that wounded. 5:12 in the first run. I'm sure his coach said, we can't. This is the heat, we have to make a move.
I don't think his coach needed to tell him anything. Maybe just a little gentle on the first one, but now it's all guns blazing. Time for the lead.
Yeah, the skid in curve 1, I think, is going to really hurt him. Green numbers now, only 2 up. Should have been better with that start. Needs to be perfect the rest of the way down to be the leader at the bottom and put himself in a chance to win a 3rd consecutive world championship.
400s up, straight into 10. Good exit.
Decent speed, he's pulling away. Other than mistaken 1, this was a great run. This is watch Christoph Langen's expression here. 51, 59. Yeah, he knows his athletes just put himself in position, not for a medal, but to challenge for the gold, and he's won in 2013, and he's won in 2015. Look at his brakeman, Torsten Margus. When I told Torsten last week that, geez, too bad you guys are hurt going into this event, he said, don't count us out. And he was very explicit when he said that to me. Well, Torsten, 5:06 start. Wow, did they turn it on. 5:12 to 5:6. No one has improved their start in the first run better than these two. But there was a little skid here. Look at the sled here. Look at this. Look at that little back end. Oh, that doesn't look like much. Trust me, on this track.
Kathleen Martini there watching.
Bronze medalist last year's World Championships, her last run in the sport of bobsledding. She retired. Francisco, he's hanging around.
He'll be getting some physio tonight to try and stay in front of these guys. Johannes Lochner and Joshua Bloom, the junior world champion Lochner, and his 19-year-old brakeman.
Watch out here, 5:02. They could get 5 flat. They could get to 499. I'm sure the coaches told them, do it. And these are some start monsters here.
So gently in
5:01. That's starters. Lochner started 16th. If there's a heat and he's going to put himself in the gold medal position, it's this right here. Oh, quarter 600 lead. I was saying this was the favorite in the competition. He had to get through the first heat. He did. Only 300s behind, starting 16th. Still 26. Gonna come back a little bit. Friedrich had better lines down here.
This is Johannes Lochner not worrying about Francesco Friedrich. This is trying to take the lead for Germany from the Latvians. There was only 300s between the top two. 51.55, 1/100th of a second slower than Melbardis managed in the first heat. That's a great run. Johannes Lochner throws his hat very firmly in the ring.
His uncle Rudy won the World Championships in '91 with the best start times. He followed it up the next year in '92 with an Olympic bronze medal or silver medal in Albertville. And his nephew, unbelievable start times. The junior world champion, perfect lines in the bottom. He's put himself in a position to win the gold. I said as the week started, I said it 2 weeks ago.
Look at the height he used there in 10 as well to fire the sled down the bottom. Johannes Lochner, Joshua Bloom leading for Germany with one faster sled from the first heat still remaining. And then we go 21 down to the tail of the field. And again, lots of positions to be jockeyed with. Oskars Melbardis, Damons Dreskins. Melbardis with the effects of a slip disc years ago, resurgent this season. And his brakeman, Damons, with that Achilles problem he's had all season long.
5:06 first run. They're going to need to go 5:02, 5:03. And they're the track record holders at the start when they were healthy. Two huge men, 240, 45-pound average between them. 5'7". These are the best starters in the world, and they're about 80% between the two of them right now.
Silver medal behind
I think that they're going to fall a number of places because they went second, and now they're down 17. We saw Holcomb overcome a 3,300 deficit. This deficit is growing. I think Hefty's back in play here.
Silver medal behind Friedrich last time on this track. Silver medal in the World Championships behind Friedrich in Winterberg last year as well.
2200s to 2200s. If he eats into it down here, down to 20. Yeah, this is going to leave him in the top 3.
Could have a German 1-2. Will he be in front of Hefty? Third place
17,
years. Lochner and Bloom, the junior world champions, lead.
Now they didn't win a World Cup. It's a 2-heat race. Yeah. The junior world championships was 2 heats.
They lead.
This is the world championships, the Olympic platform. They got to sleep on it.
Yeah.
But Melbardis, look at it, he can barely get out of the sled.
Yeah. Now this raises, and a little wince there as well, raises real questions about next weekend and the format.
Look at this, look at the girth on these, look at his toes. Look, his toes are barely off the ice, both of them. Look,
yeah.
Look at Damons Dreskins, that's 6'3", 250 pounds.
It's that low action that gives you the speed. Well, Melbardis.
Look at the size of these two guys. Those are 2 NFL linebackers right there that can run like gazelles when they're healthy.
They lie in the bronze medal position overnight. There are your current leaders. Johannes Lochner on the right, Joshua Bloom on the left. Looking as happy as Larry. 1500s up over the double reigning world champion Francesco Friedrich. Oskars Melbardis lies third. Hefty, Spring, and Bruce Tasker ahead of Yunjun Won, the Korean who leads the World Cup rankings. Rico Pater 8th, Justin Cripps 9th, Nico Walter slipped to 10th place as we continue our run down the order. Further down the bottom of the top 20, those positions are by no means guaranteed because the remaining sliders in the field get to come next, and they could move ahead of maybe Oskars Kibermanis, maybe Brad Hall, maybe Rudy Rinaldi. Or maybe the ice isn't good enough and they will be having a battle of their own outside the 20. But our overnight leaders, Johannes Lochner and Joshua Bloom, will be very happy, very relaxed, and feeling no pain tonight. So 20 sleds down, and we believe 13 more to come because there is unlikely to be an entry from Italy. Simone Battasso, we think, has pulled out. So 21st after the first heat is Dong-Yoon Kim for Korea. Now the Korean sled 6,200s off the lead, and the sled that was in front of him, Oskars Kibermanis, was 5,500s. So he was only 700s out of a top 20 spot.
Come on.
So
there's the clock, see the clock's changing down now, 57, 56. That little beeper goes off, and you got a minute to go. Well, the start time is why all these guys are back here in this 20th position. Plus, and he has the 19th best start at 26. He's got a chance here to move up. He's a minute 2 down is what Rudy Rinaldi is. A minute and 200ths. So that's the target. He wants to get within the reach of that.
Moment 1.31 behind the leader and going away. Rinaldi only 1.02 away at the bottom. So Kim is not going to make it into the top 20 on this run. Finish this one in 21st spot. But there are some very close groups behind. 52.27. 1100 slower than his first heat. We're going to see a lot more of that now, John. The track is not as quick as it was.
Walter Delicart, my longtime good friend and famous Austrian family of sliding, just said to me after 3 sleds, this thing just goes away. So you have to manage that. Uh-oh, somebody's mad.
Yeah. There's Quembo Kim, the discus thrower who's there, brakeman. Ivo Danilevich at the front of the sled.
That's what he's mad about. His driver just did something. Hamstring.
Yeah. Looks okay. He's helping with the sled, so maybe they're just feeling a bit tight. Like Coster of France with Vincent Castel behind. Came to the program in January. Bruno Mison in the bobble hat and his longtime brakeman helping out with this team with their Latvian sled. Another team that's operating on a shoestring budget. 525, same start as Kim in the first heat.
Bruno Mison handles his French team and the Monegasque. 528 start. Costege, a Forster. A lot of locking going on around here. We're going to ask him questions about it today. We haven't got to it yet. 124 back. He could do better than that coming down here because he wants to knock off the Korean in front of him. Kim, but boy, with those lines, skid there, boy, I bet you curve 8 with a back end skid.
That's now for everybody outside the top 20. They go in their ranked order, so the track getting worse for those that have most to make up. Stays in 22nd position for the moment, a 52.36 compared to a 52.20. So again, 1600 slower. We saw Kim coming down just 100 slower in front, so Kim's opened up the margin over the French. Not the most coordinated of starts there between Coster and his new brakeman.
Well, it's all about cohesion. His brakeman's new. That technique, you just don't pick it up. You have to develop it. You're an athlete. Watch the hit here. Yeah, airborne. That wasn't too bad. I thought he'd be a lot worse than that. That's in the curve 8 and the exit of Kreisel. Loik.
Send us a tweet at IBSF announcers and we'll try and answer questions if you have them about the sport, the technology, the way it all works. And what on earth is going on with those giant cowbells? Did they ever have a cow big enough to carry those around in a forest or in a pasture? Nick Poloniato now from Canada, 500ths of a second behind the French from the first heat. Can he make up that disadvantage and move up a spot?
They had some issues at the start. First run, put it back here. 5:15, which is pretty good.
1300s quicker than the French, so that erases the Frenchman's advantage. Of course, he's still in the race in the leader, but it's not about that at the moment. It's about trying to pick up spots and get into the 20 by the end of the third heat.
It's pretty good. He's only a second, 600s down. He'll fall from that. But the second 02 is the number he wants. But if he stays at this pace, he'll pick up a couple spots.
Which is exactly what you need to do now.
He can pick off Costege and Kim if he has good lines down here.
Nice run, 9 to 10. Spent most of his career racing in North America. He won't be that familiar with this Eagles track.
Yeah, he's got a good chance picking up 2 spots, getting to 21st. Only being about Look at that. 1800s back from the Monaco sled that gets in the top 10.
18th
Look,
fastest
the coaches are saying the same thing. Graham Richardson on the right, Tom Delahunty left. They got those little computers working in their minds.
18th fastest run. That was a good drive from Nick Polagnato, creeping up to the top 20 cutoff.
I remember the Monaco sled went way early. It went 20 sleds ago.
Yeah.
So when they had better track ice conditions, much better run. In the second heat, little air with the top runner there, but pretty good transition on the 13.
Made a step forward, Nick Polagnato and Josh Kirkpatrick. Well, can Russia's Alexei Nagadailo do the same? 300s behind the Canadians, and again, as you said, 20th spot at the moment. Went about 22 sleds in front of them. So Rudy Rinaldi had a lot better ice to work with.
Antuk, look at the size of Antuk. His sister won the 400-meter gold medal in London for Russia. Great track and field families, from what I hear from Pierre Luders. But these, look at the size of the driver, too. I mean, these are big, fast, quick men. 11th best starter, still in the first run. There again, look at another great start. He shouldn't be back here. An 11th start. He should be down 15 or better.
Not sure if we're going to see him in the four-man competition, whether maybe Nikita Zakharov gets his place back.
Well, they recently put him in this position because he's a good starter. Look how late he was there in the fourth. Flopped off the curve.
Yeah, give the guy with the start a go rather than the guy with the experience.
Bad exit there, too.
It's not helping him. I think he's going to drop a couple of spots here.
Going to drop at least one behind the Canadian.
24th in the first heat.
Positions himself to make a comeback. Yeah, he's going to fall 3 places.
This is going to leave him at the tail of the field. It just goes to show that you can give away a start advantage. 52.42, he came down in a 52.28 in the first heat. So that really is not helping.
The mistakes all over the place. You know, he curved forward, but he's a new driver, but look at the size of him. Look at the quads. This part, he's in. He's got the talent. Look at the athleticism. Look at him jump in. You think that's easy? Trust me. The pitcher cover at first base, the layup in basketball, the extra point in football, all the things you take for granted. We're going to see somebody with a start mishap eventually. Look at the airborne runner here at top of the track. That means he was in there real late, had to steer twice. That's why he fell 3 places. One of the reasons why.
Well, that opens the door to a couple of sleds behind to move up at his expense. First of them might be Jan Verber of the Czech Republic. He was 900s behind Nagadailo from the first heat. And his Frenchman, Jakub Nošek. Walter Delacarte's theme tune playing at the top of the track. Disco Inferno.
Well, Jan does better the 4-man than the 2, and that's because of that start time. But been down the tracks a lot, been down them all. A couple Olympic appearances, the Czech Republic. You know, they made some strides this year. But pretty exposed here because of the lack of a start time.
The last 2 World Championships haven't really favoured him, have they? Winterberg and Igls. 2 real starters tracks. Samaritz, the one before that, 2012, he was in 16th position in the 2-man competition. Winterberg last year, 29th. That may well be where he finishes this year's 4 heats.
Yeah, he's not going to move up, that's for sure.
52.73. Well, last run was a 52.37. So you can see how much the track has deteriorated. He was 28th off in the first heat. He's the 25th sled in the second. That's more than 50. More than 50 sleds have been down the ice. It's not staying fast.
Look at his feet. Oh, he didn't have a good first step.
And the brakeman caught his foot on the back of the sled.
Look at his hands, too. He's not, his arms should be locked straight out. You know, his head's over the top of the push bar. He should be behind him, locked in behind it. Jan?
Yep. He knows they're in a hole and didn't manage to dig himself very far out of it there.
Is he limping? Looks like he's limping.
He's a bit, isn't he? That's not good news. I wonder if he's going to pull out after the day's action. Maciej Luti next up from Poland, tied with the Czech Republic sled for 25th place in the first heat. To the other end of the age scale from Jan Verber as far as drivers go. Maciej Luti, 26, still on the way up.
Oh,
little wriggle, but didn't hit anything.
Still wiggled.
5:22, 20th fastest start. And 26 sleds.
Well, airborne on the entrance to
He was 1.01 seconds off the lead from the first heat. The leader after 2 runs, or the 20th place after 2 runs, is 1.02 off the leader. He was already 1.5 seconds back.
Luti made some mistakes at the start in the first heat, so this should be better for him.
It's a little untidy run. A 52.50. He did a 52.37, same as Jan Verber, but he comes down 23 hundredths faster than Jan Verber in his second heat, so he moves up at the expense of the man with whom he was tied.
Well, again, he hit before the first curve in the first heat.
Had a late flop.
Ooh, airborne.
Yeah.
That's so, you know, it's mysterious down there why that some people hit that bump and some people don't. Look at him steering to take control of the sled there. Very mysterious what's going up there in that curve 5.
Leaderboard headed by junior world champion Johannes Lochner from double world champion Francesco Friedrich. 25 sleds down in a field of 33 now. And the next up is Serbia's Vuk Radjanovic with Alexander Krajšnik behind him. Vuk's dad Boris helping with the sled. Royal family team and about the size of a family as well. Big family of heavy eaters, obviously.
Vuk himself was a wrestler. Look at the way he gets that sled. He was like...
He always has to splay it apart to get the shoulders in.
Yeah. One of the biggest. He's Melbarda's size. So I'd say him and Melbarda's the 2 biggest drivers.
Little skid there. Steered the nose in, the tail sliding up the hill. 5:36 getaway leaves him at a deficit to the sleds around him. And at the moment,
good line.
More ground though. 9/10 of a second off the lead in the first heat. Already 1.9 in the second, and the gap will continue to grow to the line because the ice is not helping.
So he moves up 1. He goes ahead of Jan Verber by 100.
700s behind the Czech Republic sled in the first heat. He's 100th in front of him in the second. So overnight, 26th spot, but 0.9 away from making the cut.
Watch the brakeman here. See if he gets it smooth. The driver barely got it, it seemed like. See if the brakeman, look at the way he just free falls himself into the sled.
That leap he did in the first heat.
That's the second time we've seen him. That's a pretty good line there. Alexander Krajšnik.
To wait and see.
Pretty good lines. He picked up one guy.
Those. Next up is our second Austrian sled. Rookie Marcus Treisel with Franz Esterhammer on the brakes.
Rugby player in the back.
Manfred Meyer, the coach. offering them encouragement. Lots of red and white Austrian bobble hats around the track here.
As I mentioned the first heat, I was at an Austrian reception the other night and got sat at a table with Marcus's parents. Very nice, very proud of their son. And he's got the bobsled fever. He's got to go out and train and develop the start time. And with the Austrians winning the silver medal last week in St. Moritz, their first medal in 17 years in men's bobsled at the European Championships, that there's some hope in the Austrian program. It's great, Austrians. We saw the other night the four-man Olympic gold medal team, the Eagle Appel team, was at the opening ceremonies. Austria's only gold medal. They won at least another world championship title. The Olympic gold medal was their only one. The first world championships in this region was 1935, two-man competition. Natural track, of course.
This was the second artificially iced track ever built. After Königssee, Bavaria, which opened in '69, this opened '73. Sleds were very different then. Almost all open with just a little nose cowling and a lot slower.
Feet don't want to get airtime if you don't have to. Then you look at the runner tips. Now he moved up 2 places. Had a Radanovic and Vibra. So a good move. Move up 2 more. Keep moving up. Couple more tomorrow. He's going to have all he could do, though. He's got to get a second to have a chance to get into that top 20.
Second Czech Republic sled is their youngster Dominik Dvořák with the veteran Dominik Suchy behind him. Dvořák just 23 years old, bronze in this year's Junior World Championships, beg your pardon, last year's now, 2015.
Smooth. Not bad. 17th best start.
It's a good getaway, isn't it, at this end of the field?
Casanova from Russia and Holcomb, Cunningham in the United States would take that start time.
And Dvořák more of a four-man driver. Got bronze in this year's Junior Worlds in the four-man, only 8th in the two-man. They were in Winterberg.
Good lines.
Picked up a spot already at the expense of his teammate. Oh, and that might have undone all the good work. See if he can hang on. In 25th, slips to 26th position.
He's going to move up a couple.
Yeah, if he's got speed in line, he does.
25th best time, 26th at the bottom.
Trikel, Radjanovic, and his teammate Jan Verber is now at the tail of the field. So a decent-looking run, 52.44. His first was a 52.49, so he tidied up a couple of errors. Still learning.
The feet, look at those spikes. That gives you the chance to run across the ice, 1/16 of an inch. And look at the choreography here of 2 big guys jumping in this little bathtub. Hands come up. This is good technique here. Very, very well schooled.
He's a long, rangy figure as well, isn't he, Dominik Dvořák? Really tall. So behind them in the first heat was Simone Bertazzo of Italy, who was pulled out with, we understand, an injury. Next up, Edson Bindilati and Edson Martins, his brakeman from Brazil. They'll be racing in the two-man and in the four-man competition. First showing for Brazilian men in the World Championships in years.
Great athletes here. Both of them are decathletes, right?
Yep. They're probably plundering the Brazilian Decathlon Federation the way the Latvians do with theirs. There's 5 of them here to make up the four-man group, plus 1 spare athlete having their first winter in Europe. First Christmas was spent in Sheffield in the United Kingdom with their coaches.
It's great. South American country. Argentina. In the 50s, you'd see an Argentinian team competing. Of course, we had an Argentinian guy out there for scouting for a number of years. I remember the name here. And have the sport going into Asia, into Korea, and of course China's got a team. Manny Mahada's in Calgary right now with 24 Chinese athletes. Jeff Payne's got the scouting team out on tour for China, and Wolfgang Schadler's got the Chinese luge team out and about. So it's great to have Brazil, you know, to get another, look at the southern part of the Western Hemisphere involved.
Jamaica trying to make a return to bobsledding as well. Another sunny nation.
Look at that silent cross.
Well, it ain't a Catholic country for nothing, Brazil. A little early off there, coming down into Labyrinth. Wants to make sure he gets the safe line in again. Putting in a big steer there. 10 into 11.
Has had a good season in regards to just getting acclimated to the tracks, the food, the travel, the hotel, preparation, how to take care of your body, Your body's taking a beating out here. You're sick, you got a flu, and you can't take any medications.
Coach Joe Manning said that she always gets them to the track nice and early because they're relaxed in the speed at which they get everything done. They were ahead of the Netherlands' Ivo de Bruin and Igor Brink after the first of our two heats by 0.15 of a second. Ivo struggling down in 32nd spot on the leaderboard.
Well, they didn't have a very good start time in the first run.
Just trying to rebuild bobsledding from the ground up. 5:37, it's a fraction quicker.
And, you know, this is a kid that was top 12 starter in the World Cup Tour a couple years ago. Everybody was saying this is the next future of Dutch sliding, but then lack of funding. You know, he told me he's got 13,000 euros to work with in the Dutch Olympic Committee for the whole year. It's tough to make things competitive, but he's better than this. He's way better than this. So he's got some equipment issues here. I mean, look at the drive lines. Well, his first issue is the start.
Brings it down safely. 30th fastest run. He's in 31st place. Closes the gap a little on the Brazilians, but not enough. Only 0.02 of a second. And that is going to see them lying outside the top 30 overnight. They start in the first heat.
Technique, everybody's got a different style, but coaches try and form their athletes into a pushing technique that is the most efficient. Ivo's got some real, his heels are coming up to almost his butt there. I think you got to keep your feet close to the ground.
Well, again, with very little coaching, you're kind of working it out for yourself. 33rd of 34 sleds at the start, their starting speed. And behind Ivo de Bruin is Dorin Grigori of Romania. Only 900s behind him, though. They started at 5:31 in the first heat. They could pull level and get in front of the Dutch sled. 5:39, that's not a great getaway for them. That's the same as 200 slower than the Netherlands, so the gap now out to 1100s behind the Dutch sled.
They have, you talk about budgets, they might have the lowest budget per athlete in the field. Talked about the budget with the Dutch. But they're at all events, 2-man, 4-man, men's, women's bob, women's skeleton.
It's kind of the enthusiasm of Paul Niago, who's a former Romanian driver, lives now in Winterberg. He's a chiropractic business there. That's really the core to holding this whole team together. We're 52.94 slide. They came down 52.89 in the first heat, so 0.05 of a second slower. So that's a better drive, because guaranteed the track is 0.05 of a second worse and much more than that in the second heat.
Probably 20 hundredths more.
Yeah.
Look at the brakeman lock his arms now. Stretch yourself, get yourself away from the sled. Nope.
Didn't quite get the synchronous start.
His head's way too forward. It should be back a little bit. Different angle.
Little
push.
skid here as well. A couple of problems there. Drop them now nearly 2/10 behind Ivo de Bruyne. And our final sled from Croatia, Drazen Zilic, with Benedikt Nikpal behind him.
Zilic's been hurt. Missed a lot of races this year on the Europa Cup with a bad back. And
yeah.
His brakeman's an MMA fighter, martial arts guy. Watch how athletic he is.
Yep.
Takes two to push the sled, but the brakeman impressed me with his technique in the sled. Watch him get in. Look how good that was.
Got his knees.
Style points, he gets very good style points. Start time, this isn't gymnastics and figure skating where you have some judges holding up points. The clock does not lie.
5:38. Second slowest starts the competition behind Dorin Grigorian from Romania. Close on the Romanians. It's not about what he can do compared to Johannes Lochner.
Drazen is a teacher by trade. Comes from a track and field background.
He's one of two former fighters in the field. Latvian, who racing format, was a boxer. And the other one from fighting sport who really stands out, of course, is Todd Hayes, who made the money for his first sled as a cage fighter.
Third, 53.08. That's the last sled of the day.
And again, only 100 slower than his first heat, so that was a better drive as well, because the track is definitely much slower than it was 2 hours ago when he had his last run.
Yeah, even Sola brought these uniforms to the sport of bobsledding. He's not here, the leader of the Bobsled Federation from Croatia. Again, we talk about the technique. The brakeman obviously is a very good athlete, but watch his knee.
Driver got hooked up. Brakeman gets his feet hooked on the driver's seat. Hasn't quite got them around either.
But his arms, that technique's pretty good.
There's a lot of arm in that sled.
Here, that's a little bit of a skid out of 9.
So all safely down in the second of our 4 heats in the two-man bobsleigh World Championship here in Igls in Austria. Top 20 rounded out by Rudi Rinaldi of Monaco and topped off by the junior world champion Johannes Lochner with Joshua Bloom behind him. And the Germans lead a German 1-2 because the reigning world champion Francesco Friedrich and Torsten Margis are behind them, but significantly behind them. 1,500 separates the first from the second sled. And look at the gaps behind. 15, 17, 22, that's your medal table. Chris Spring, Bruce Tasker, who knows? Maybe something special will happen for them in the third and fourth runs. And Yoon Jung-won of Korea looking for a top 6 finish. For the USA, Nick Cunningham and Stephen Holcomb both down in the teens. Oscar Kibermanis and Uga Zalims in the teens as well for Latvia. Brad Hall and Rudi Rinaldi inside the top 20 overnight. But Nick Poloniato eased his way up closer with a good second run. Lots of orders shuffling in the pack below the 20. But Poloniato looks the man who might be the danger overnight for Rudi Rinaldi.
Well, Lochner is my favorite to win the race. I've been saying that for a week. He gets a chance to sleep on it tonight. But he could be the second guy in a couple years to win a junior world championship and a senior world championship in the same year.
Absolutely right. You can find out by joining us for the action tomorrow as they are on ice at 08:30 Greenwich Mean Time. Until then, from Igls in Austria, it's goodbye.